All right. We are in business. Welcome to the third installment of the Beat the Bag wrap-up show. I got fucking killed last week. Myself, along with 58 other people, went 0-5. One of those 58 people was Knuckle Curve, who was previously 10-0 and in first place. That 0-5 sent him down to 132nd place. All right, we're getting our guys coming on our live chat. Thank you for joining us, big man. What up, Thomo? Thank you for joining us. This is dope, man. So Knuckle Curve from 10-0 went 0-5 and went down to 132nd place. In second place overall, heading into last week at 9-0-1 was Gulum. Gulum went 1-4. The two undefeated players, the two only undefeated players in the Beat the Bag contest, went a combined 1-9. After Gulum's 1-4 performance, he sits in 99th place at plus 7.44 units. And we have a new leader. Each week we've had a new leader take over at the top. This week's new leader is Choice. He or she is at 14-1. Plus 18.90 units. Very impressive. He has a 3.97 unit lead on Showman J, who is up 14.93 units at 12-3. All right, we got some guys coming in. Thomo and Big Man talking about what a rough fucking week it was. And we will get into that more very soon. Week 1 winner, USC Philly guy, has maintained his great play and sits in 31st place at 12-3 at plus 10.51 units. After an impressive 4-1 week, my man Hugh Madbro, my WNBA guru, is 10-5, but he's been very unlucky with his best bets, and he sits at plus 2.28 units, and he's joining us right now. Robinson Yepis, a.k.a. Hugh Madbro, what up, man? Let's not talk WNBA, though, man. Let's not talk WNBA, though. This is a football contest, Robinson, but we do have the over in the Lynx Sparks game, 158.5. So, but we were giving a shout out to USC Philly guy. He's maintained his great play. Giving a shout out to you, Robinson Yepis, 10-5. You've had bad luck, only at 2.28 units. So there are 1,349 people in this competition, and 125 of them have yet to make picks. There are 501 people in positive bet units. Other notables, my man Big Man on Campus also had a tough week, going 0-4-1. But he was in such a good place. He sits at 6-8-1. He's only down 1.05 units. Can easily make a run at the leaders. SBR Breadman is in 994th place, sitting 6-6. But he is down 4.71 units. He had a tough showing with his best bet. After my 0-5 showing, I am 5-9-1. I went from 505th place to 1,169th place. I took it right in the drink hole, right in the back of the khakis. I got my throat glistened. I got my tonsils splashed. I lost really fucking bad, and it was very disappointing. I am down 7.50 units. I'm only beating 189 people in this competition. It's very sad. That is the bad news. The good news is we have another week of action to make up for all this losing. So thank you guys so much for joining us. We got Big Man on Campus. We got Robinson Yepis. We got Thom Marino. And we are going to keep adding people to this conversation and going over games. Thank you guys for coming along and joining me tonight. Now, let's talk Thursday Nighter, and we'll bang through this list of games. The Laughlin Whale had they're asking about him. He had a tough week as well. Everybody, so many of us just got the shit kicked out of us. I am ahead of the Laughlin Whale at this point, but we all had tough nights. We got Best Gambler. What up? Thank you for joining us. We got George. What up? Thank you for joining us. And he's thanking me for that Blue Bomber pick. One of my those were the good old days, man. The last 48 hours, I've taken it right in the drink hole. We got Cameron Raphael joining us. He's got the under in the Astro game with me. Nice, okay. Nice. Good vibes, my man. And, okay, and Thomo says he can't believe how high Donnie is on the Giants this week. I really think Tampa Bay's defense will destroy the offensive line. Cox was out, as you obviously know. Big man doesn't agree with what he's thinking, but let's slowly break down the games together, guys. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. So why don't we start off with the Chicago Bears at Green Bay Packers Thursday night. The Packers are 7-point favorites. We got D. Thomas, man. What up, my man? Thank you for joining us. We got a good group, man. We got a good group. So Chicago at Green Bay, -7. Over under 45.5. Well, Howard tricked me with his arm in a sling 9 days ago, sitting on the sidelines with a droopy fucking smile. But he did leave the game 2 or 3 times in the second half. He's clearly not well. I did not know that Randall Cobb had not dropped a pass in over 2 years. I think that Chicago is a very good team. John Fox has, not very good team. John Fox has his team riled up, playing good football. I was very impressed how they took out the Steelers, and the Steelers either played down to their level or the Bears are better than we expected. I like Green Bay to cover this, but I don't love it. Chicago is a better team, I think, than Cincinnati, and Chicago should give Green Bay a good contest. I wonder what you guys are thinking about this. We don't have any action, you guys, up yet on the forum. I will not make this one of my 5 games. Green Bay did not look good against Cincinnati, although Cincinnati looked like a different team as soon as they got rid of Ken Zampese, their offensive coordinator. All right, we're coming in. Robinson Yepes, my man, says he likes the under 45.5. Thomo says, I think this line is inflated because it's a Thursday game with Daniels and Perry out. Perry might play, but his hand is in the cast. I think the Bears defense is going to keep them competitive. That Bears front 7 is really good. Big Man on Campus says, I'm looking over in this game. Bears should at least get 14. Run game should be able to move the ball. He thinks it's a 31-20 final. Okay, so we got a differing of opinions. Big Man likes the over. Robinson Yepes likes the under. Thomo says, I'm not betting this game. My man George says, Jimmy called the Giants would beat the Diamondbacks yesterday too. Thank you, George. If Pomerantz didn't fuck me in the drink hole, I wouldn't have had such a bad day. But we got to stick on football, my man George. But thank you for saying kind things. It's refreshing. Thomo says, I could see the game going over, but Green Bay's offensive line is scary with injuries. I don't think Green Bay has the advantage. Obviously, Green Bay doesn't have the advantage that they will have when it's freezing cold at Lambeau. I was very disappointed with the way they looked against Cincinnati. I'm also likely to stay away from this game. You know, it's funny because last week there were so many games that I liked. There were so many options, and I picked the wrong fucking ones. This week, there's not as many games as I like. I think I'm a little trigger shy after getting the shit kicked out of me last week. But we have a differing of opinions. Some people like the over, some people like the under. Nobody's touching the line except Big Man. Big Man thinks the Packers should win and cover. All right, well, let's move on to the first game. Okay, we got Thomo coming in. Glennon's numbers were horrible. The Bears were completely reliant on running game. It's hard to see the Bears running for 200 yards in 2 straight games. Those are good points. Those are good points, but the Bears are a much better team than I thought they were going to be this year. John Fox is doing a really good job. Also, I apologize for having my pale, undefined fucking arms in the shot. It's hotter than a motherfucker here in Toronto, so I apologize for having my naked arms in the show tonight. Let's go to London. Early game. New Orleans, -2.5 at Miami with an over-under of 49. I cannot believe that Harbaugh was dumb enough to bring the Ravens over to London 2 days before the game. Unbelievable. Jacksonville's there all week, getting used to the environment, getting used to getting over the travel. It was a big mistake. I'd be very curious to see when New Orleans and when Miami head over to London. George, you're saying very kind things, man. It's great to have you on board. Well, let's talk about this New Orleans-Miami game. First off, Breeze is absolutely on fire. He looks exceptional. Miami got their clocks cleaned by the Jets. If Ajayi can't move the ball, they are fucked. He ran 11 times for 16 yards, and if you're counting on Cutler to make plays, you're going to fucking lose. Cutler's awful. Landry clearly has a knee issue, and the Dolphins were exposed by the Jets. All right, let's see what we got here. Thomo says, I think the value is on the over here, the over 49. The Dolphins' defense is absolute trash. I don't buy the Saints' defense because of one game. Side is tough, in my opinion. I'm leaning towards New Orleans in this action because I think all you have to do is stop Ajayi and force Cutler to beat you. If Landry's not going to be dominating, they're in deep trouble. Best Gambler says it's crazy. I thought most teams got a bye week after the London trip. They were talking about that. The byes are going to start next week. Dolphins are already out there partying. I didn't know that. Robinson Yepes has told us that the Dolphins are already out there partying. You know what? I don't mind it. I don't mind that they're out there partying. You want them to get over there as soon as possible. Thomo says Jets were humiliated 2 weeks ago, and it was a tough spot, 2 straight road games. I think you were being a little tough on the Dolphins. But their defense is bad, obviously, though. You know, I was surprised week 2 was the Dolphins' first game. I was surprised that they could beat the Chargers. I did not expect that. And I guess coming into the year, I was going to bet against Miami every week. I do not believe in Cutler. And then I see them play well against the Chargers, and I take them to beat the Jets. If I hadn't have seen that first game, I would have taken the Jets at home to stomp on the fucking Dolphins and to stomp on Cutler. I have no faith in Jay Cutler. And it sucks that I fucking saw the Dolphins take over and beat the Chargers week 2, and then it fucked my whole head up, and I made a very bad decision. Thomos says the Ravens took their bye the week of the game in London. They didn't bother showing up anyways. Yeah, man, they just looked awful. Robinson says, I feel it will be a field goal game, and yes, the Saints will win. I like the under, but not enough to put money on it or make it a play. I like New Orleans in this game. I like New Orleans. Cameron says, worst start ever in the Astro game. That's bad news. That's not what I want to hear. How bad? Okay, I'm going to focus on London. But you can give me the info if you want, Cameron. But I'm not going to fucking like it. Okay, I like New Orleans in this game. Right now, it's not one of my 5 picks. We'll see. Let's move on to Carolina at New England, -9, over under 48.5. We got a couple more comments on the Dolphins game. I agree Cutler is nothing special, but Dolphins receivers and running game are solid. Saints defense was horrible against Vikings, but I see the Saints moving the ball well too. Muhammad, what up, man? Astros up 2-0 in the first, nobody out. It's all good, man. Cole Hamels will get his shit together. That's not so bad. I thought it could be worse. 2-0, first inning, nobody out. All good. Get your shit together, Cole Hamels. Carolina at New England, -9. The big question when I look at this big, giant spread is, will Hightower be back this week? The Pats need him desperately. I am surprised I like Ninkovich, but how much Rob Ninkovich meant to that pass rush. Their fucking pass rush looks absolutely awful right now. And then on the Carolina side of things, Cam's shoulder is clearly affecting him, and Benjamin is so fat. I think this is too big of a spread. I think 9 points is too much. This is not one of my picks at this point, but I would be leaning towards Carolina. I'm curious to see what you guys think. I was looking up whether Hightower would be back today, and there was not a lot of information. But, man, do they desperately need him to be back in business. Thomo says, I think Cam is just not running anymore. He's older and has too many injuries. No Benjamin, no Olsen. Patriots miss Jones and Collins. They haven't drafted defenders in the first 2 rounds either. Yeah, their defense looks extremely susceptible. Robinson says New England is trolling everyone, right? Kind of how the – go back and win. I think Patriots will be pissed after last week, bounce back defensively. I agree Hightower is key, but I think they will be okay here. 9 points is a real big spread. New England does – it all comes down to Hightower. Over under 48.5, I don't know what you guys think of that, but when all is said and done, we need to know whether New England can put together a defensive scheme. Carolina is not moving the ball the way we expected. They desperately miss Olsen. He's an incredible receiver. So we will see. Domo says, yeah, I think the Patriots will be pissed, bounce back defensively. I agree. it all comes down to Hightower. Let's move on to the LA Rams at Dallas Cowboys -7.5. There is no over-under at this point right now. Muhammad is coming in. He says, Jimmy, what a rough week in the NFL. Had many of the same picks as you. Dolphins and Steelers hammered my big teaser play. Broncos, Chargers, Pack all let me down. Oh, what up? Amza is with us. Nice to have you, man. New England at home laying over 7 is not a winning play over time. I agree. Tomo says Carolina's secondary is horrible too, though. I don't think it's a good matchup since Carolina has strong run defense. Robinson's Patriots defense is allowing an average of 30. These are good points. These are good points. I'm very excited to watch this game, and I'm afraid to bet on it. Muhammad says teaser Pats and Falcons this week. I can see that. All right, let's move on to the Rams at Dallas. So there's no over-under out right now because Watkins and Austin are in concussion protocol. Now, Robert Woods looked really good, but Watkins and Austin are critical to their success. Goff has looked very good, and I've not been a big Goff cheerleader. Going up against Dallas in Dallas, I was very impressed. Oh, my God. Okay, I'm just getting terrible. I'm getting terrible news on the Astros-Rangers front. We're going to focus on football. I was very impressed with Rod Marinelli's adjustments at halftime, and I was surprised that Arians couldn't handle them. Marinelli was throwing 6 defensive backs every play and rushing 3, and it worked very well. I am impressed with what he did. I'm curious to see what you guys think. LA Rams at Dallas -7.5. If Watkins and Austin are okay, if the concussion protocol doesn't affect them too much, I like the Rams here to cover -7.5, although I don't like it enough to make it one of my top 5 picks. Thomo says the Rams defense has been horrible with Donald missing offseason. Dallas secondary was horrible. Defensive line saved them. I would much rather lay 3 Dallas on the road than 9 at home, and he's leaning towards the over. Thomo's passing on the side. I get it. Muhammad says Rams +8. I tend to agree with you. I think the Rams are a nice spot here, although we'll have to wait to see what happens with Watkins and Austin. I think it's a nice spot for the Rams getting over a touchdown in points. So at this point, it's not one of my – obviously, we're going to wait till the concussion tests are finished. All right, next game looks like it could be one of my picks. Joe Anthony, what up? Thank you for joining us. Says Dallas at home. It's too risky. I feel you guys. You can keep hammering on that game if you'd like. I'm going to open up the next game. It is Tennessee -1.5 at Houston. Seahawks Strike says the 49ers suck. You are absolutely right, Seahawks Strike. They are a bad football team. I don't know how bad they might look against Arizona this week. It's San Francisco has no pass defense whatsoever and could easily get lit up in the air. But we will get to that Seahawks Strike. We will get to that. Thomo says Dallas has a huge game against Green Bay next week, a revenge game. I think they look ahead here too. Well, you were absolutely right, Thomo, about the Steelers looking ahead for the Ravens. That is a very good point, and you were bang on last time. Seahawks Strike says Arizona is trash too. They are trash. The whole fucking division does not look good. I don't like the Rams, so I hope the Seahawks manage to take the division. But you guys have no fucking run game whatsoever, no offensive line. You're just asking for too much from Russell Wilson. But we will get to that game, my man. Oh, Thomo laughs. I bet the Steelers, though. It's funny how we don't follow through with our gut instincts when we should be, but I hear you. Okay, Robinson comes in. So he says, I like Tennessee -125, or the pick'em. It says I could see a 21-17 game. Well, I first off want to give a shout out to Deshaun Watson for dating Mia Khalifa. Also, Houston's D does not look good at this early point in the season, and Tennessee does look good. I love Derrick Henry. He's a fucking beast. 5th overall pick, Corey Davis, is showing very little. But I like Tennessee in this matchup, -1.5. Now, I'm afraid to come into this week's action with road favorites and just get the shit kicked out of me like I did last week. Muhammad says Tennessee's a good play. I like Tennessee here -1.5. I do. Houston's defense looks very bad. Tennessee needs to get their shit together as well, especially offensively. But I like -1.5 at Houston. I think it's a good spot. This could be one of my 5 picks. Do you know that only one, when we're talking about how bad Corey Davis is, only one rookie receiver has a touchdown pass in the NFL this year? It's nuts. Thomo says, I think Tennessee has issues in the secondary. Houston has had issues against the run. Houston has a cluster of injuries in the secondary. I think the Patriots with Hightower out made Texans look good and lean over. That's an interesting call. I like Tennessee in this matchup. This could be one of my picks, but let's move on to the next game. Jacksonville -3.5 at New York Jets with an over-under of 39.5. 39.5. Jags were in London all week. That's a big trip. Now they're going to come all the way back. They should be feeling good about themselves. Both the Jags and the Jets have a really strong front seven. Now we understand why the Jets got rid of Sheldon Richardson. M. Zah says, back to the Tennessee-Houston, he says, 2 of the worst coaches in the league going into battle. And Cameron is just giving me more bad news on the Astros-Rangers front. Thomo says, I know the Jets suck, but you can't convince the Jaguars should be road favorites against an NFL team. Baltimore did not show up at all last week. I hear you. I like Jacksonville's team. I love their defense. I was shocked when they got destroyed week 2. Let's see. I know, yeah. Robinson says Jacksonville versus New York Jets should be the game of the week, game of the month. I don't know if he's making fun of him or not there. The Jets' D was very impressive, holding Ajayi to 16 yards, forcing Cutler to beat him, something he is incapable of doing. I think the Jags are in a good spot here, but I understand why people would be hesitant to take them over a field goal favorites. Thomo says, I like Jacksonville too, had plus 250, but Bortles has looked very mediocre with Robinson out when they can't run. Oh, plus 250 to win the division. Muhammad says -4.5 is a lot, especially on the road in the NFL. Well, it's -3.5 in our contest right now, but it could move. And Muhammad says I'd stay so far away from that game. I feel you. I feel you. It's going to be an interesting game. These are 2 good defenses. I think that the under has a possibility in this. All right, big man on campus is with me that Yepis was joking about the game of the week or the game of the month. I'm sure he's joking about that. This could be a pretty defensive, ugly football game. Robinson says, yeah, he thinks it's tricky. 4.5 is a tricky line for a road dog. And I do not want to be looking at my card this week and seeing too many road favorites because it just got me right in the drink hole last week, and I do not want to take that beating again. Let's go to this next game I'm very excited about. Cincinnati -3.5 at Cleveland with an over-under of 40.5. We got a couple more notes on the Jets game. I think it might be a letdown spot for the Jets off their home opener big win. Jacksonville is focused. I think they can win the division. You know, I know you guys are talking about not or worrying about the 3.5 line and all that, but I kind of like Jacksonville here. Cincinnati -3.5 at Cleveland. I like, and I wonder what you guys think of this, I like the over 40.5. Elliot Harrison came out this week with his power rankings, had Cleveland last in the league. For Cincinnati, A.J. Green is the key to the Bengals offense. He's had a tough time coming back from that hamstring tear last year. New offensive coordinator, Bill Lazor, did a good job. Okay, just getting more bad news, Eddie, coming in about the Houston-Texas game. It looks awful. It looks fucking awful. Not what I was hoping for. What the fuck is – well, let's not get into baseball. I'm going to leave that alone. All right, Cincinnati, -3 at Cleveland. I think this 40.5 line is low. I think that the Bengals offense got a tiny bit of confidence in that game versus the Packers. I think Cleveland has shown they can put up points. Deshaun Kaiser looks good. I know there's a lot of injuries. in the Browns receiving core. But I think that I think this game could go over that 40.5 line. Let's see what you guys think. Thomo said Cincinnati looked better with new offensive coordinator. The defense has been solid. I could see the over, but Kaiser is so hard to predict. Will his turnovers increase or decrease the score? That is a good question. Robinson says, I really like Cleveland to win straight up and took the plus 3.5 in the contest. Interesting. This is one of Robinson Yepis, a.k.a. Hugh Madbro, who is 10-5 in the contest. This is one of his picks. George says, Jimmy and Big Men on Campus are the worldwide sports prophets. You are very sweet, very kind, George. Tomo says, Robinson, Cleveland got destroyed by the Colts. Well, I don't know if you could say they got destroyed by the Colts, Tomo, but Bengals are desperate. So Tomo does not think that you're on the right track, Robinson. I like the over 40.5. I think it will be one of my picks. Thomo says the final score was misleading of the Colts-Browns. I get it. I get it. Big Man, what do you think of this Cincinnati minus 3.5 at Cleveland? What do you think of me taking the over 40.5 points? Big Man says, Cincy 27-14. I love the way Big Man adds the score. Cincy 27-14. Wow. Well, 41 points would clear the over. That's a big win for Cincinnati, and it's possible. It is possible. And he likes it over. Cool. Cameron says, never bet on Andy Dalton. Alert Eddie, welcome to the show, my man. Alert Eddie says, Bengals will win. All right. They're not on your side, Robinson. Big Man says they have plenty of weapons. I agree. Robinson says, and he's talking really back to Thomo because they are on different sides here, says they panicked. It went downhill in that second quarter. They were down two TDs with 5 minutes remaining and decided to air it out instead of taking their time. Muhammad comes in, says 23-13 Bengals, which would be the under, and hurt me bad. Thomo says, I think Cleveland defense is overrated. He agrees with me, saying they look good against weak offenses early. Baltimore and Pittsburgh, not good offense on the road. What the fuck is wrong with Pittsburgh's offense? Baltimore, we knew they weren't going to have a good offense coming in, but with Pittsburgh, they have all these amazing weapons. I was expecting so much from them. Martavius Bryant has a good game, and then he doesn't show up the next week. They're not looking as good as I had expected them to look. All right, well, let's move on to Pittsburgh, as we've just been talking about them, and Baltimore. Pittsburgh minus 2.5 at Baltimore with an over-under of 43. This is a game where I'm leaning towards the under. I could see a low-scoring, tough football game. Both teams will surely look better than they did last week. Roethlisberger was 22 for 39 versus the Bears. Pittsburgh is too talented to be this bad. But Baltimore has a great pass defense and will be licking their chops at some of the defenseless receivers over the middle. Domo says, I think Bell missing the whole preseason hurt. Roethlisberger older, might get better as the season goes on. They seem to always get better as the season goes along. They seem to get in their stride with the last few weeks of the season, but man, they have looked questionable offensively. I like the under here. I wonder if you guys think there's any action either on Pittsburgh minus 2.5 or Baltimore plus 2.5. Getting just more bad news. Here we go. Robinson says under 43 is is 3 times play in the contest. Ooh, Robinson. I like it. Robinson's big play is the under 43. I like it. Yeah, my man M says Yanda is out, which is a big loss for Baltimore's offense. It sure is. It sure is. Domo says Pittsburgh usually plays well in big games with Tomlin, even on the road. Baltimore's offense with Yanda out and Macklin signed right before the season. They have no chemistry. I can't bet Baltimore. Eddie says leave this game alone. Flacco has played like shit and the defense is overrated. Gary likes the over. Gary Wedderburn, welcome to the action, my man. He likes the over. We like the under. George is calling Flacco flaccid Flacco. Big Man says Big Ben just isn't very good on the road. No run game. Still, though, can't expect Ravens to score 17-12 Steelers. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm hoping for this week. This Pittsburgh at Baltimore under will be something I will be betting. It will be one of my 5. Thomo says Brandon Williams is out for Pittsburgh. That's a big deal too. He's the best defensive lineman as well. That will have an effect on this game for sure. But I think this will be a tough, grinded out football game. Thomo says, yeah, look who Baltimore's defense has faced. Cleveland, Cincy before firing offensive coordinator. Very overrated defense. Weddle is old. Brandon Williams is out. Gary says, how you doing? Well, what up, man? Thank you for coming on the show. And he thinks this ain't the old Ravens Steelers team. I don't know. Oh, M likes the long field goal props. That's not a bad idea. Take a bunch of field goal props. It's going to be a grind them out, drag them out game. I like the under. I'm with you, Robinson Yepis. I don't know if I'll make it my ×3 play, but I will be with you, and that will make it a lot of fun. Well, let's move on to this game. This will be very interesting. I'd like to hear what you guys think of this. Buffalo at Atlanta, -8 with an over-under of 48. Thomo says, I would check the weather before betting field goal props. You're absolutely right. 4-1 Astros in the bottom of the first. This is not good. This is not fucking good. And Robinson is down with us, man. I'm down with the under 43. Let's ride. Buffalo at Atlanta, -8. Atlanta is so good at home. They are clearly missing Beasley. Can the Buffalo offense keep up with the Falcons offense? We know how good Matt Ryan looks in that dome, that new stadium. Perfect rotation. Welcome to the show, my man. Thank you for joining us. He says Buffalo hangs in, don't they? If the Bears can do it, why can't Buffalo? Well, the Bears did it versus the Falcons at Soldier Field. It's very different when you're playing in Atlanta. Thomo says, I bet Buffalo all 3 games, including the Denver game. Unfortunately small. Bills controlled all 3 games with pass rush. I don't think the secondary is that good. Buffalo is a different team on the road. I hear you. He says, Atlanta destroyed Detroit. Matt Ryan just had 2 fluke deflection interceptions that turned the game. I hear you. Robinson says the Falcons are 2 plays away from being 1-2. Yeah, that's true. Big Man says, Atlanta just too strong. Buffalo on the road against the best offense in NFC. Buffalo gets slapped 31-13. I'm with the Big Man on this. I'm thinking of making this one of my plays, Atlanta -8. I think that I just don't think Buffalo's offense can keep up with the Falcons. Buffalo is a good team, and I did not give them enough respect going into the season. But I like Atlanta -8 here. Gary says, give me the Bills +8, best defense Falcons will have faced this year. I hear you, man. Robinson said there's some key injuries for Atlanta. Perfect Rotation says, I agree. Thinking about it more, I agree. Are you agreeing with me? Or are you agreeing with, I figure you're probably, I'm hoping you're agreeing with me. Thomo says, Buffalo can run the ball, though. Atlanta's weakness is rush defense, smallest defensive line in the NFL. Atlanta should win and cover, but will they be motivated at 3-0 going into the bye week? Perfect Rotation thinks the under. Okay, Rotation's with us and Big Man with Atlanta taking care of business. If Atlanta completely shuts down Buffalo, then the under is an interesting play. George says, I feel Tyrod will be partying with Atlanta hoes night before the game. That is possible. The Atlanta strip clubs are famous, and Tyrod's got that cash. My man Am says, I like the Atlanta side as well. Big Man thinks they're going to be motivated. Why wouldn't they, man? To go 4-0? Atlanta -8 is a good play. All right, so keep hammering that if you guys would like, but we will move on to the next game. New York Giants at Tampa, -3. Over-under of 43.5. This will be a really interesting game. The jury is still out on these Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's too bad we didn't get to see them in week 1. It's too bad we don't have enough information on this football team. Tampa looked very bad against an excellent Viking defense. That can be expected, sure. But how can Case Keenum go off for 369 yards of passing versus the Bucs? How's that fucking possible? What is wrong with this Bucs defense? that they would allow Keenum to eat them fucking alive. Going to the Giants, we knew that they would have value after losing the first 2 weeks. Sterling Shepard looked awesome. Manning finally put a game together. They were unlucky not to come back and take out the Eagles. That was a great game, 61-yarder from a rookie kicker. That's pretty fucking exciting. Robinson calls him Keenum Montana. Hilarious. Tampa secondary is wasted, says my man M. They looked terrible. Is Case Keenum all of a sudden an awesome quarterback? I don't know what to make of this Bucs team. I'm not going to bet this game at this point. It looks very dangerous. Gary Wedderburn says, give me the G-Man. Bucs are just a pro team with a juvie coach. I hear you, Gary. I mean, that's pretty harsh. Perfect Rotation says Case Keenum has always had an arm. I guess. Thomo says Tampa Bay's secondary is bad coming into the year. With Grimes out, they fell apart. But I think Tampa Bay's pass rush destroys the Giants' offensive line. I think the Giants are flat off a demoralizing loss. There was no question that was a demoralizing fucking loss. Big man on campus says New York Giants blows. I've said it before and said it again. Cannot score. However, I can do – okay, I feel you. He likes Tampa Bay 27-21, which would hit the over. It's not a very high over, 43.5. That's interesting. I might add that note to my shit. The over is possible. It's very possible. If the Giants can get their passing game going on a bad Tampa secondary. You know, after talking this out, I think this might be one of my plays. Domo says Giants are playing 2 straight road games in the NFL. Very hard. You're right. Big Man says if the Giants put up 14, this game goes over. You know, I think that is a good point. Ooh, Muhammad disagrees. He says Tampa 17, Giants 13 in an ugly game. Ooh, I don't think that can – how can Case Keenum light up the fucking Bucs and Manning not be able to? Domo says hard to predict the total in his opinion. Both quarterbacks are very turnover prone. Robinson says if the game is at New York, pace will go over. Domo says that's a big if. The Giants' offense blows. I hear you. Let me ask you this. Now, I know Stephon Diggs is a boss and doesn't get as much clout, but would you say that the Minnesota Vikings offense with Case Keenum at the helm is better than the New York Giants offense? Thomo says the Vikings replaced entire offensive line. They've been good this year. Giants offensive line is trash. There's no question that the Giants offensive line is trash. I'm going to lean towards – where's a pen? Right here. I'm going to lean towards this over, and I'm adding a note right now. I think this could end up being one of my plays. New York Giants, Tampa over 43.5. It was not initially, but I think I might run with the big man on this. My man Muhammad comes in and says, Manning in the humidity and heat with no offensive line is a different animal than Case Keenum in a pump dome where Minnie always plays well against a flu-ridden Bucs team. Flu-ridden Bucs team. I did not know that they were a flu-ridden Bucs team. That would have been some nice information that I could have used to make some fucking money with. Nice point, Muhammad. Gary says, what's the Giants team over? 27, take the under Giants team total. I think there's a point there. OBJ is going to be hanging out with Archer in a yacht. Fuck, if he does that again, I'm a fucking mess. This is an interesting game, and I think a lot of people have different opinions on it. Thomo says Tampa Bay needs running game, though. Martin is out is big. It's huge. He turns the ball over way too much. I think Tampa, but lean under. Tampa has no running game. Giants secondary. Jenkins is solid. Wow. We are all on different sides here. I will keep studying the action. This is an exciting one. Let's move on. Lions at Vikings, and there is no line yet. There is no line yet because we are waiting to see what's going on with Sam Bradford. I have to have my picks in Thursday morning, so it's not a very good situation because I think there's going to be value on the Vikings here. The Lions, okay, let me ask you this. Have the Lions been overachieving? I'd like to hear what you guys think about that. Stafford has looked very good. Vikings defense is stacked, man. Looks so good. 5 Pro Bowlers. And then Stefan Diggs is a fucking beast. He does not get talked about enough. He caught for 173 yards. We're talking now, we know a little more of Bucs flu-ridden defense with no fucking pass secondary. I'm curious to see what you guys think. We got a little bit more notes on that Bucs game. Domo says Winston turns the ball over too much. Perfect Rotation says, I think this is another situation like last week. Okay, well, M's coming in and said yes, he thinks that the Lions have been overachieving. Robinson's giving us a line with the Vikings. 5 Dimes has it Vikings -2 if he plays, -4.5 if he doesn't. Okay, cool. Thank you for that info. Perfect Rotation says, regardless if Bradford plays, Vikings are the play. Interesting. Interesting, and I like it, and I'm with you. I think this might be a good shot. I think I might fire a money line bet this Sunday on the Vikings. Let's see what you guys think. Let's break down this game a little more. Thomo says Detroit's defense was not the same with Davis out. I'd see if he's in. I think the Lions' defense is better this year. I think you are slightly overrating the Vikings' defense. Saints move the ball easily, just no touchdowns. I hear you. My man Gary's Weatherburn says, no rate, not rated there. Should $100 million QB, you better win. Oh, yeah. I hear you. He's talking about the $100 million Matt Stafford. My man M, Za likes the Thomo point there. Robinson Yepes says, if Ebron can catch some balls, they could make some noise at Minnesota. This is going to be a very fun game. So what do you guys think? Have the Lions been overachieving? Or are they – okay, here's another question. Who wins this division? Lions, Vikings, Packers? Thomo says, Ebron has been dropping balls since North Carolina. I wouldn't hold my breath. Perfect Rotation believes that the Lions have been overachieving. I think the Lions have – I want to say that they have been overachieving. They've played very well. And coming into the season, I didn't think they were that good of a team. My man Amza likes Minnesota. Thomo says, I think Lions and Vikings have been overachieving. I think whoever stays healthy wins. Perfect Rotation says, this conversation would be different if that touchdown had counted yesterday. You're right. You're right, it would be. Robinson says, Stafford has been straight flexing since the contract signing. His posture is better. I hear you. Lions overachieving, no doubt, my man Muhammad says. And Big Man comes in up with the score. I dig this. Bradford will play, and they will cover 24-17. I like it. I like the Vikings in this situation. I would be much happier if Bradford is playing. But Case Keenum looked good. Big Man says, and if you know me, you know I have good info on injuries. Okay. Respect. Respect. BMOC says Bradford is playing. Tomo says Stafford has been horrible in Minnesota for his career. He's been horrible in Minnesota. He's been horrible on the road. He's been absolutely horrible against teams who are over 500. What's his record? 6-57 or 4-57? I think it was 4-56 going into last game. Big Man says, I have someone sitting outside of Bradford's house. Nice. Respect. I bet you he's getting no pussy. Mza likes the Vikes. I'm with him. I am with him. I like the Vikes in this game. I like the Vikes at home. I should have had the Vikes against the Bucs. It was a fucking mistake. A bad fucking mistake. And I made too many of them this past week. Oh, he's actually married. And he has a cute wife. Okay. All right. Respect. Respect. Ooh, Mohammed's coming with a score. I like when you guys come in with scores. Mohammed comes in with a big score. Oh, this is wild. Mohammed says Vikings 27-6. Lions are garbage on the road. I think this Vikings is going to be a good thing to hammer. I hope the line comes down on Sportsbook Review for the contest before I have to have my action in. Thomo says, oh, Gary's coming. Just coming back off injury. Yeah. Oh, Gary's going to take the under. He thinks it's going to be tough for him taking 2 weeks off. Or Bradford we're talking about. Thomo says, I think it might be tough for the Lions to bounce back from how they lost last game. I'll be curious. You know, I think the way the New York Giants lost the game will hurt them more than the way the Lions lost the game. The Giants are now 0-3 and could very easily go 0-4. And the Lions almost took out the team that made it to the Super Bowl. Zaz says, are the Lions better than Tampa Bay? I guess that's what it comes down to. Are the Lions better than Tampa Bay? And I'd say right now, with Martin hurt for the Bucs, I would say right now the Lions are better than Tampa Bay. And then Tomo's with me. He says, with Martin and Grimes out, those are key injuries. Yeah. All right. All right, man. This is exciting. This is an exciting game. I really dig it, man. Okay, let's move on to the next one. But feel free to keep hammering this if you guys want. We have Philadelphia, big man's Philadelphia Eagles at the LA Chargers, -1. Chargers are 1-point favorites with an over-under of 43.5. All right. Well, let's do this. First off, Rivers looks slow and old. Also, the guy has 8 kids. His whatever he's doing at home is not helping him on Sundays. He went 20 for 40 for 237 yards. It's awful. Bosa is great, but Melvin Ingram was an absolute monster last week. Did you see how good he played? 6 tackles, 3 sacks. Philly is a very solid team, and this could be a very good spot for him. Big Man says, I think he has 13 kids. Man, I thought it was 8. Robinson says, Eagles easily. I want to hear what Big Man has to say about his Eagles coming in as 1-point dogs against the Chargers. I think this could be a good spot. Let's see what you guys have to say. Thomo says, Philadelphia had no pass rush with Cox out, and secondary is garbage. I think the Eagles' aggressive defense will feast on Rivers and this shitty O-line. Gordon is banged up. Philly all day if Cox plays. George, my man George is with us. He says, Eagles all day, baby, especially at a pick'em. I like it. Oh, he has 8. Robinson is confirming that Cromartie has 13 kids. Jesus. Man. Remember, Sean Kemp had 8 kids from 8 different women. Jesus. All right, Muhammad comes in and says, I've said Eagles will win the NFC for quite a while. Ooh, big man's going to like that, Muhammad. But this is a game where Chargers finally get a W. Wow. 3rd game on the road in week 4, a tough, long trip across the country. Armin is joining us. What up, man? Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining our team, man. We love you. Tomo says Cox is that defense. If he's out, Chargers will go up and down the field, in my opinion. Even as bad as Rivers has been, Chargers 28-24, Muhammad says. Big man likes his Eagles 31-27. Well, big man, you got your ear to the streets all the time. Can you tell us about Cox? Domo says Cromartie has 14 kids with 16 women. That's impossible. Robinson agrees with George. So, yeah, we need some info. Cox doubtful, big man says. So, what do you think, big man? If Cox doesn't play, are the Chargers looking for a win? That is the question. Gary says, Eagles win. Chargers have no right to give points because they are at home. They play in a damn soccer stadium. Yeah, they play at StubHub. Well, I'll tell you, I was leaning – this wasn't going to be one of my 5 picks. But looking at that line, I wonder what you guys think of the over-under 43.5. But looking at that line, I started liking Philadelphia. The Chargers are just – their offense is not good. Big Man says Hicks and McLeod will play. Eagles will be fine. They have plenty of pass rushers. Need Hicks and McLeod back. Robinson loves that StubHub center. Says there's not a bad seat in the house. Only 35,000 of them. Thomo says Rivers is that guy who always seems to respond when you count him out. Chargers can rush the passer. This game seems like a trap to me if Cox doesn't play. My man M. Zaz says cannot bet Chargers. Big Man likes 31-27 Eagles. Well, 31-27 is a high-scoring game, man. You could get rich off of that call, big man. I mean, you can adjust that over-under and make a huge pile of cash. Over-under. That's a lot of points. I mean, I'm taking note, big man. I'm going to study it more. Thomo does not agree. He thinks the Eagles' pass rush was garbage with Cox out last week. Manning had almost 400 yards. Manning had his first game of the year. Shepard looked really good. Gary says when the place is empty, everywhere is a good seat. He's right. Okay. Thomo and Big Man don't often agree, but that's what makes things exciting and interesting. I'm going to study this game more and figure out what's going on with Cox, but I like Philly. And if Big Man likes the over that much, I'm going to take another look at it. My man Muhammad says, having said all this, I refuse to bet on the Chargers anymore. I always want to do it and end up going for it, and it burns me time after time. They are a heartbreaking, snake-bitten team. Perfect Rotation says, can't trust Rivers in the fourth. With that rookie having a leg like that, they'll play conservative till the end and let him win it again. Big Man says, Chargers stink. Domo says, agreed with Jimmy on a lot last week. Agreed with your take on the Mets and other teams at the beginning of the year. Domo, we love you, man. And it's fun when we don't always agree on things. It's all good, my man. All right, so a lot of a difference of opinions in the Eagles-Chargers action. Armin is asking Big Man if the Sproles injury will hurt them. Robinson thinks that it'll be a situation where the Chargers are down 6 and they'll have to go the length of the field with a minute left and no timeouts remaining. All right, you guys, let's go on to the San Francisco at Arizona -7. Now, it looks like Reed and Foster will be out for another week. I think Carson Palmer sucks, but the 49ers can't defend the pass. Fitzgerald should have a monster day like he always does against the Niners. I'm worried about betting this game, but if I had to, if you put a gun to my head, I would take Arizona to cover. So Big Man going back to the Sproles injury says yes, it's going to affect them negatively. He's used in the receiving game out of the backfield and on punts, but they will pick it up for him. He's 34. He's an old guy. Thomo says Clement can step up too, in his opinion. Will hurt on special teams for sure. Perfect Rotation says this is a pass. I hate this game. I'm uncomfortable with this game too. Robinson says, I have a feeling the Niners will pull out the upset. Thomo says Arizona should get Humphreys and Lupati back. Cowboys have a solid pass rush. 49ers do not. Yeah, 2 injuries on one play, Armin says. Yeah, I think this is a tough spot. Big Man says Clement won't be much of a factor. He's a rookie. Again, we're talking back about the Eagles. Won't be used a ton. What do you guys think of San Francisco at Arizona? -7. It won't be one of my picks. I do like – I wish I could hammer against Arizona, giving up a touchdown with no running game. We saw exactly how the Cowboys exposed Arizona. I'm sure the Niners will do the same thing with 6 defensive backs, but their defensive backs are shit. So Gary says, tight game. Give me San Francisco at least first half. Interesting. Muhammad, stay away game. My man Amza says Arizona. Thomo says, obvious. Oh, we're still talking about Clement there. Yes, I'm going to stay away from this game, I think. At this point, I'm going to stay away from the game. Big Man likes San Francisco +7. Arizona 24-21. Interesting. I just think that the Niners secondary is so weak. And Palmer should – it just sucks that they have Chris Johnson running the ball. I mean, if you're an Arizona fan, I'm not. But it's just too easy to stop that. You don't need to use – you don't need to rush. You could have 3 guys on the line, put everybody back, see if Palmer can beat him. They won't. All right. Big Man says Arizona fucking stinks. They do. They're a bad football team. All right, let's move on. Feel free to keep hammering at this game if you'd like, but we've got a really exciting one that I'd love to talk about. Oakland at Denver -3 with an over-under of 46.5. Thomo says they could have beaten Dallas if that second touchdown doesn't get called back. Dallas had a very good defensive line. Bad matchup. I think San Francisco is a better matchup. It's definitely a better matchup. Arizona 7-point favorites. San Francisco just allowed 41 points to the Rams. I don't know. Oakland at Denver. Let's talk about that. Clearly, Oakland was too high on themselves and received a nice wake-up call from the Skins, but it cost me a lot of fucking money. Big Ben says, I could have fucked Kim Kardashian if I met her earlier. You still got a shot, man. Kanye's a fucking freak show. But that ass is sloppy. But if we're talking about the Kardashians, I'd like to give a big cheer for Caitlyn Jenner getting impregnated. She's an old broad with a soft cock, but we're all very happy for you, Caitlyn. All right. We got some action here. Domo says, I love Denver here. Simeon is night and day different at home and on the road. Raiders have no defense, and their coach is a clown. Yeah, with Del Rio and Norton. I hear you. Denver going 7-1 at home. This ain't the one. I hear you. I hear you. A lot of guys like Denver. Armin likes Denver. I would like Oakland, except for the second game on the road situation makes me pause. Okay, Emza would have liked Oakland, but 2 games on the road. Kyle is a fucking dime. Top 5 in the world. Kylie, I think you meant. But yeah, go, yeah, you got hit Kylie there. Top 5 in the world. That's high praise. That is high praise. I can tell you she's hotter than Caitlyn. Mohammed says, Denver, best bet in the afternoon. Early games, Pats and Falcons teaser down to -2. Gonna go hard. Okay, George doesn't like me talking about Caitlyn. Okay, I'm done. She's fucking heinous. Armin says, you can't tell me Washington has a better D than Denver. You're right. Robinson likes Denver as well. It's going to be similar to the Chiefs-San Diego Chargers game. So Derek Carr goes 19 for 31 for 118 yards. Lynch goes 6 carries for 18 yards. Now, we know that Mile High is a very tough place to play. This line started out as a pick'em and then went to -3 after how bad the Raiders played. We don't want to allow a recency bias to take over when we look forward with the Raiders. I know they got fucking destroyed by the Skins, but they're not that bad of a football team. Now, I like Denver here as well. Let's see what you guys think. Gary says, the game against the Redskins was a trap game for the Raiders. They're going to get beat this weekend. Domo says, Oakland is better than they showed against Washington. I agree. But the Raiders' pass rush is horrible outside of Mack, and the Raiders' offensive line is not the same this year with Penn missing all of camp. I think those are 2 very good points, Domo. I want to take Denver in this game. I want to take Denver in this game, but I don't know if I'll make it one of my 5. I'm writing the note down right here. I want to take Denver, but I don't know if I will pull the trigger. All right, finally. Indianapolis at Seattle, -13 with an over-under of 41.5. Well, Seattle -13. Seattle has shown us nothing this year. This seems like a giant line, too big of a line. Seattle has no running game and a horrendous offensive line. Now let's talk about the Colts. Brissett is improving. T.Y. Hilton went off for 153 yards, but Frank Gore, and I hate saying this, but Frank Gore looks very old. Robinson says Seattle ain't going to cover. I think this could be one of my 5 picks. I like the Colts to be able to cover 13 points on a Seattle team that can't run the ball. It's another situation where you can just stay in a dime. Force Russell Wilson to beat you with pass. Now, you don't want to stay in a dime just in case Russell will beat you with his legs. But I like Indianapolis here. Over under 41.5, but I like Indianapolis at +13. Curious to see what you guys think. Muhammad says, oh my God, the Cubs are down 5-1 after the second inning. Arrieta falling on his face. That's not a good sign for the Cubs coming playoff time. But whatever. Let's stay with football. Someone says, I really think this is a hammer spot for Seattle. As bad as Seattle has looked, it's still their division to lose. Colts looked good last week against a bad Cleveland defense, and this is on national television. Those are good points. Gary says, primetime game, Colts players are going to show up. Don't want to have a big letdown on primetime. I hear you guys. Robinson says, Seattle can barely beat the Rams in Seattle. They could barely beat the Niners in Seattle. I like Indianapolis to cover 13 points to keep it somewhat close. Seattle's offense just does not look good right now. Seattle's defense, this was a defense 4 or 5 years ago that was easily the best in the NFL. Now, 6 straight years of this same core defense playing hard all year and then going into the playoffs and battling through long playoff stretches, that's a lot to take on this defense. This defense is getting beaten up. Now, I still like the defense, but they're getting older, and they're not looking as good as they used to. Let's see. Tomo says, Colts got Arizona in the perfect spot with all those injuries and then Cleveland. I don't think the offense is that good. Their offense is not that good, but Brissett is improving, and he can run, and T.Y. Hilton went off for 153 yards. M. Zah says, Richard Sherman has lost a step. Yeah. Tomo says, I agree, Seattle is a team to bet against, but the Colts to me are bottom feeders, and Seattle needs a win. You are right. I like Indianapolis at plus 13. I will make that play on my pools, but I don't know if I will do it in the beat the back contest at this point. All right, let's move on to the Monday Nighter. This will be really fun. Feel free to keep hammering that game, but we're going to move on to the Monday Nighter. It is the Washington Redskins at Kansas City, minus 6.5, with an over-under of 49.5. Arrowhead is a very tough place to play. Now, Cousins looked better than I've ever seen him look last night. 25 for 30, 365 yards, 3 touchdowns. Chris Thompson is 6 receptions for 150 yards. Looked really good. I have been extremely impressed with how the Chiefs have looked without Eric Berry. They looked awesome dismantling the Chargers. Let's talk about that. Also, we have a couple last lines on the Seattle Seahawks-Colts game. Seattle has faced tough offenses. Rodgers, Titans. They have. And now they're going to face a much weaker one. Thomo comes in, and I agree with him. Right off, I agree with him. And this could be one of my picks. It is in the running to be one of my 5 picks. Thomo says, I hammered KC here. I think the Raiders didn't show up, and Cousins is almost always garbage against good defenses. Redskins' defense did not look impressive against the Eagles. Armin says, Washington on the road is different than at home. Thomo says, Redskins still struggle to throw the ball down the field consistently. They look pretty good. But I like Kansas City. I'm with you, Thomo. I like Kansas City here at minus 6.5. I think they're going to be very tough to play at home. Robin says KC is good, but 7 is scary. It's a lot of points. It is a lot of points. But god damn, do the Chiefs look good. They look very good. I like KC to cover. I wonder what you guys think of the over-under 49.5. I think that is quite high. I like the Chiefs to cover. Domo says Redskins have some big plays on dump-offs to Thompson, but receivers didn't have big numbers. You were right. You were right. I mean, that biggest play of the whole game was the little dump to Thompson. God, that little guy's quick. Perfect Rotation says you got to buy that hook. You want this at minus 6. I think you have a great point, Perfect Rotation. You do. You might have to pay to get it lower or adjust the line. This could easily be a game where I adjust the line for my own cash bets this Sunday. I could easily, or sorry, on Monday, right? Everything will be coming to Monday. I could easily adjust the line. You know, I think I might do that. Bring it down to even like 2.5 and parlay a bunch of games to it. Domo says, I thought the total is high, but Cousins is so hard to predict with turnovers. Robinson says, I like the under. It's one of my plays in your contest, Jimmy. Okay, Robinson. Robinson is taking the under 49.5 in the contest. Interesting. I think it's a good move. I think this is a very high line. I like, I don't know. I'm going to have to sit and study with it more, but I am writing that down as well. Well, those are all our games, man. It's going to be a fun week. I got to fucking get my shit together. I'm only beating 189 people in this fucking contest. I look like a fucking clown, and I won't have it. I will not have it. My tonsils will not get another splashing. I'm going to bounce back. Bounce back. Thomo says, I think Hunt has changed the Chiefs' offense. Did you know that Hunt is the first player in NFL history to go 3 weeks in a row with touchdowns over 50 yards? God, he's a fucking beast. He's a fucking beast. I want to thank you guys all so much for joining. Great comments, great notes, man. It's a treat running with you guys. Oh, Mitchell. We got a new guy in Mitchell Shaggis. What up, man? I like Kansas City to cover with the under. I think we're with you, man. Tomo says, I think the total is high because – oh, we already did that. So hard to predict. Tomo says, my dad takes tonsils out for a living. If this continues, let me know. Okay, Tomo. Okay, so if my tonsils keep getting splashed, I will give you a heads up. If I keep getting throat glistenings, you'll be the man I come to. That's hysterical. All right, Robinson likes our over in that WNBA action. I hope so. George says Saquon Barkley is the next Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt's a fucking monster. But I like where you're going with that, George. Oh, we got, I don't know how to pronounce your name. If it's Nobi or Kenobi. Nobi, is that silent, K? Let me know, my man. But thank you for joining us. He's going for that rookie record. He sure is. My man M. Zah says whoever is drafting running backs in Kansas City is doing a great job, man. I tell you what, Andy Reid is doing a great job, man. That guy lives, breathes football nonstop. We've come a long way. That Chiefs team went through a really difficult year. We don't need to get into how sad it got over there because it was very difficult. But, man, they're looking good. No question about it. Well, I need to fix my fucking record. I'm 5-9-1 and beat the back. I felt good about myself after week 2, going 3-1-1. I was ready to make a move up the ladder, and now I'm fucking down 7.5 bet points, bet units. God damn it. Fucking sucks. I need to step up, and I will step up. I think we did some great capping here, man. I think we did some great capping. Thank you guys all so much for being a part of this. Let's get this fucking money, man. Let's get this cash. We need fatter pockets and hotter salutes. Robinson giving me some positive vibes over there. Robinson, you keep it up, man. You're 10-5 in this contest, man. That's what, a 66.6% hit, man. Impressive. But what a treat it is to run with all you guys, man. Let's have a really big week. Let's get this cash. And truly, thank you guys so much for being a part of all this shit. Gary wants to know what you got, Rams versus Dallas. I thought we hammered that. Let's see. Well, I like the Rams at this point, but I'm going to wait to hear what happens with Watkins and Austin. My man George says, no worries, Jimmy, just a downswing. Thank you for helping us all. Thank you, George. Thanks for you being a part in this. My man M says, good show. Thank you. CC924, nice to have you, my man. He says, Dodgers team total over tonight. Well, we got some time to make that bet. Other than that, you guys keep raking the cash in. And thank you for watching and being a part of all this. I got some big news coming up at the end of the week that I'll be letting you guys all in on that I'm really excited to tell you guys about. But all these shows can't happen without you guys. Thank you so much for being part of it. And let's have a big fucking week, man. Let's get this cash. Much love, and thank you for watching.